My fiance's sister acted like she was the one engaged, showing up uninvited, planning our wedding, even announcing she'd move in with him. I've had enough. My fiance's sister has been acting like she's dating him since the moment he proposed to me. Her name is Diane, and she's 2 years older than him. When we announced our engagement at a family dinner, she didn't congratulate us. She just turned to him and said, "This is going to change everything between us." That should have been a warning. His sister started showing up at his apartment with her own key, which he'd given her years before we even met. She'd let herself in and be waiting when I arrived. She made his breakfast, packed his lunch, and reminded him about appointments like he couldn't manage his own life. When I reached for his hand at dinner, she'd suddenly need help with something. When we were at his work events, she'd position herself between us. At family functions, she'd make sure to sit next to him. It went from sisterly to something else entirely. I thought maybe I was overreacting, so I didn't say anything for months, but I wasn't overreacting. Diane started calling him every morning at 6:30 before I woke up, just to chat about nothing important. She texted him throughout the day with memes and inside jokes that I wasn't part of. She showed up at our apartment on random evenings and expected him to drop whatever we were doing to spend time with her. When we started planning the wedding, she inserted herself into every decision. She told people at her office that she was planning the wedding with her brother, making it sound like she was the bride. His friends started asking him about details she decided on. I brought it up once, carefully, and he shut me down immediately. He said I was being jealous and that families are supposed to be close. He made me feel like the problem was me, not her constant boundary violations. So I stayed silent and planned the wedding alone while he consulted with her on everything. 3 weeks before the wedding, Diane announced at a family dinner that she was moving in with him. Not with us, with him. She'd arranged it with their parents without talking to my fiancé first, and he just agreed on the spot. She said she was going through a breakup and needed support. She smiled at me while she said it like she was testing me. That night, I told him this wasn't happening. I said if she moved in, I wasn't moving in with him. He got angry and said I was being unreasonable, that family comes first, that I was being selfish. He didn't see the issue at all. He couldn't understand why his sister refusing to let him go now that he was engaged to me was a problem. He genuinely believed this was normal. I spent the next 2 weeks deciding what I actually wanted. I made a list of every time she'd crossed a line, every time he'd defended her instead of supporting me, every moment I felt erased from my own relationship. My roommate kept asking me if I was okay, and I kept saying I didn't know. By week 3, I realized I couldn't marry him like this. I couldn't spend the rest of my life fighting his sister for his attention. I drove to his apartment on a Saturday morning and found Diane's car already there. My chest tightened. I went upstairs anyway and knocked. He opened the door looking happy to see me, then confused. Diane appeared behind him immediately, like she'd been waiting for me. I didn't say hello or make small talk. I asked them both to sit down. They looked at each other, confused, but they did. I told him I couldn't marry him. Not like this. Not unless he understood what was happening and was willing to change it. I said his sister had convinced him that her needs came before mine, and he'd let her do it. I explained that I loved him, but I couldn't build a marriage on a foundation where I was always second to her. I said I'd given this serious thought for weeks, and this wasn't about jealousy or drama. This was about self-respect. Diane started to defend herself, but I looked directly at him and said, "I'm calling off the wedding. I'll send the cancellation emails on Monday. If you want to fix this with me, you need to have a real conversation with yourself about what you actually want, and it can't include your sister living in your apartment or making decisions for your life." He reached for my hand, but I stood up and left. I didn't answer his calls for 5 days. On the 6th day, he showed up at my apartment at 9 in the morning. He looked exhausted. He said Diane had moved out. He'd had a long conversation with his parents about the dynamic between them, and realized he'd been letting her substitute for actual emotional growth. He said he'd chosen the wrong person his whole life, and he didn't want to do that anymore. He said he chose me. We talked for hours. We went to therapy together before rescheduling the wedding. On our wedding day, Diane attended as a guest, not as his partner. She cried during the ceremony, but for the right reasons. He's different now. He still loves his sister, but he sees her clearly. He sees me. That made everything different.